Hi everybody, and welcome to our first installment in a series of webcasts specifically centered on procedures of the International Tournament. My name is Nick Caringi, and I'm the Senior Director of Operations and Education for Little League Baseball and Softball. Over the course of the next few weeks, we will be airing segments that will hopefully provide the information you need to have a smooth and successful tournament season. With us today is Pat Wilson. Pat is the Senior Vice President of Operations and Program Development for Little League Baseball and Softball. Pat, welcome.
Thanks, Nick.
When we were last together, we talked a little bit about the verification process, and we kind of talked about how important that would be for the future years. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about team selection. With team selection, who is ultimately responsible for the selection process?
The Board of Directors is ultimately responsible for the selection process, and it's critical that they establish whatever policy they're going to use for their local league early in the season, preferably before the season, distribute that method to all the parents, even at the time of registration for the regular season, so that everyone knows up front what's going on, and so everyone's well informed, so that the parents don't feel that there's any surprises once they get to tournament time or the tournament selection day.
Before we look at each one of those criteria, what is some of the more successful policies and procedures that local leagues have used to select their tournament teams?
In our rule book, we outline a process that involves the coaches, the board members, the umpires, volunteers, and the kids. The critical thing is that the kids are involved in some processes. In my opinion, and what we've seen, Nick, as we've traveled to clinics and throughout the regions, is that when the kids participate, or when the kids are the primary selectors of the tournament team, or the largest amount of players on the tournament team, that puts the local league at ease, because the kids know who really deserve to be on the team. While there may not be any collusion amongst the coaches, as we often hear about, if they allow the kids to have an input, it's going to be critical, because they're going to select the best players on the team, the kids that deserve to be on the team, and it's probably the most fair process. But there's a lot of processes out there that use the kids and the coaches and the board, but the critical thing is that the kids are the centerpiece of the selection process.
As we talk about criteria for selection or eligibility, there's a number of things. There's age, there's residence, and participation. We'll take one each individually. There have been many requests for 8-year-olds to play in the 9 and 10 tournament team, 10-year-olds to play on the 11 and 12 tournament teams, and we've seen those requests through the tournament committee many times. Can you speak a little bit more about what our stance is regarding age-appropriate tournaments?
Well, all Little League's tournaments are age-specific. So the ages are outlined in the rule book, and I won't take everyone through all the ages, but the ages are specific, and the tournament committee, and I've been around 20 years, I think it's been a rare exception when we've deviated outside the age specific. So in the case of the 11 and 12-year-old tournament, it's been a rare exception, and I don't specifically recall one that happens very often, where we allow 10-year-olds to participate in lieu of selecting other available 11 and 12-year-olds. So we pretty much hold to the age criteria for all divisions of play. There are some rare exceptions, but they're few and far between, Nick.
Through residence, we've covered residence over the previous verification video. Is there anything else, not to go over it again, but is there anything else that we need to reiterate with regards to residence in terms of tournament participation?
Well, I don't think there's anything we need to reiterate, Nick, but I will say, since the last time we've been together, one of the critical things that I've been doing is I've been talking to as many district administrators as possible to get feedback on the new process. And I don't want to be presumptuous to say that the new process is going to be an overwhelming success, but we've heard a lot of positive feedback from those district administrators. They're looking forward to the new process. They think it will help their local leagues. They think it's going to help their district staff and really reduce the paperwork, because a few years ago, as we heard about, Nick, we really heard a mandate from the district administrators and the local league volunteers that that's got to be job number one for the operations staff at Little League International.
Over the years, we've had some, and we'll talk a little bit about participation now, moving on to that portion of the criteria. Over the years, we've had some concerns, not really concerns, but there's been some confusion about the 60% rule. Can you elaborate a little bit about that and kind of give us an outline of how that would work?
So the 60% rule is it's intended to ensure that, while kids may play in other programs, they may have other activities in their lives, that they make a commitment during the regular season to the Little League program to be eligible for tournament or all-star selection for the international tournament. And so with that said, the benchmark is that 60% of the regular season games a player has to participate in, or if you're in big league, be on the roster for. But that 60% is kind of the dividing line that sets the criteria that shows that you made a commitment to your local league team and during the regular season, and that's what makes you eligible for tournament participation. I would add, Nick, that the confusion usually centers around, take for example, local league's regular season ends on May 31st. And so on May 31st, you have a group of kids that were playing high school ball, and their high school season ended May 15th. And so the criteria is that the regular season ended on the 31st. The high school season ended on the 15th. There were 4 games between the 15th and the 31st. And so to take it one step further, those kids have to play in 60% of those 4 games to be eligible for the tournament team. So effectively, they need to play in 3 of those regular season games to be eligible, or if we're talking about big league, be on the roster. So that's where the confusion usually takes place. We want to make sure that leagues review this and districts review this at their district meetings coming up in preparation for tournament. But the 60% rule is really intended to show that commitment to your local Little League really after your high school season is completed. And we want to give that exception for the high school season because we know that's a priority for a lot of kids.
We'll continue our discussion about tournament team selection in a few moments. Stay with us.
I am Little League.
I am Little League! We are Little League.
I am Little League.
僕らは少年野球団
I am Little League.
Sportsmanship, teamwork, character. Little League, big dreams.
We're back with Pat Wilson, and we're talking about tournament team selection. Pat, every year we have this question about alternates, and you and I have both had many phone calls and emails about it. Can you fill us in on what our position is with regards to alternates?
Simply put, Nick, there are no alternates. I know local leagues want to identify players that they may add to the tournament team in case of an injury, a kid goes on vacation or something like that, and they just can't do it. What the problem really is that the alternates feel like they're part of the team. You have them practicing, you have them working out with the team. We've even seen situations where they're sitting in the stands wearing a shirt much like the team jersey. And that kid that is not on the team really feels left out because they're doing all the work, but they can't play in the game. So we don't allow, our rules don't provide for alternates. And I think the leagues are really doing a disservice when they identify 1 or 2 alternates from the pool of candidates. And that's what I would say. The entire age eligible, residence eligible, participation eligible group of kids from that division are your pool of alternates, and don't get them involved until you're ready to put them on the team. And if you have open spots, then instead of calling them alternates, those kids should be on the team. That's my opinion, Nick.
Very well put. Mine too. We've simplified our tournament announcement tryout date. There's been some confusion. We've gone back and forth. Should we have the June 15th date? Should we not? Should we eliminate it? Can you clarify where we are with the June 15th date as it relates to all of the tournament divisions?
Well, last year during the regional roundtables by the district administrators, we considered this tournament issue in their discussion, and the district administrators overwhelmingly were in favor of kind of eliminating a hard and fast date. So the new rule is that the announcement, tryout, practice is 2 weeks prior to the first tournament game. So if your first game is June 28th, then the announcement, practice, and tryouts for all the teams in the district is 2 weeks prior. And so what that allows is that it provides for greater flexibility from division to division, district to district, and state to state. You know, some states in the Northeast where it's colder need a little bit more time, start their tournaments later. Some teams and districts in the Southeast or California or the Southwest start a little bit earlier. So it gives greater flexibility and still kind of gives everyone a level playing field because everyone's really starting that practice announcement 2 weeks prior.
Let's move on to coaches and managers. Can you explain who is eligible and who is not eligible with regards to being a tournament team coach or manager?
So everyone that coaches during the regular season in that specific division is eligible to be selected for the tournament team managers and coaches. However, I would add this one caveat is that the league president, the district staff, and the district administrators, while they may have coached during the regular season, are not eligible to coach a tournament team. And we do that because the league president is really responsible for the oversight of the league and managing the processes and the verification and the administration of all the tournament teams, not just the ones they may be managing or coaching. So we want them to be focused on the entire league, not any one division. And then the district staff and the district administrator, they're the ones running the tournament. So we want to avoid any type of conflict of interest with allowing them to manage or coach during the international tournament.
Pat, is there anything else that we want to cross off before we finish up this particular segment with regards to tournament team selection?
Well, Nick, I'd like to come back to probably one of my first points with regards to our conversation today is that the parents of the kids that are participating and that are eligible for tournament need to be informed about the process that the local league's going to use. So putting that in writing, distributing it to the parents within the league will help everyone when it comes time to make the difficult selections. The other thing I would say in closing is that get the kids involved, have them be part of the process. They know who belongs there. And it's critically important that it's their league, the league's for them, to get them to be the major participant in that selection because it's really about them.
Thanks, Pat, for joining us.
Thanks, Nick.
That will do it for this segment. Stay tuned for future segments that will cover the tournament guidelines and procedures. For everyone here at Little League International, for Pat Wilson and our communications staff, thanks for joining us.